The Supreme Court allowed President Trump the other day to fire people he should be able to fire. If you're not hip to this story, there were people that President Biden put on these boards. They were appointed by the Democrat president of the United States. And when Trump came in, he said, never mind. We don't want these people on these boards. So he fired them. And there was a lawsuit. The Supreme Court finally said, yeah, you can fire the people that you'd like to fire as the chief executive of the executive branch. Let's bring our panel back. Aaron Wexler and Stephen Gardner are here to comment on this. Aaron, the Supreme Court, I understand that it's kind of sticky. They're kind of saying, hey, there are some appointed positions that you can fire and some that you can't. But this one seemed pretty insignificant when it comes to the presidential authority of like, yeah, it feels like this makes the most sense. And then the Supreme Court doing a very quick ruling here. I don't know. Is this going to be the roadblock every time President Trump tries to do anything regarding firing people that he doesn't want working for the government?
Yeah, I'm not sure exactly what this ruling means for us in terms of all these other decisions and actions that Trump is trying to take right now, because as we know, he's being blocked by courts, and not just the Supreme Court, by federal judges. We have this across the country right now trying to block all of these different orders. So I'm still pretty concerned about it. This one, it's a small victory. I think it's a step in the right direction. We are talking about the NLRB, the National Labor Relations Board. So I really would rather see it be the Fed, the chair of the Fed that he's able to fire. That to me is number one priority, but baby steps. We'll get there hopefully.
Yeah, Stephen, this is the National Labor Relations Board that they were ordered to be, so Trump fires them. They were ordered by another court to be reinstated, and then SCOTUS said, we're going to halt the reinstatement. So it's just a back and forth and back and forth. I personally think this is part of the strategy, right? This is part of the lib strategy of just delay, 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 delay. He'll be out of here in a couple years, and we can continue doing on what we're doing. Is that what's happening with these activist judges?
I think so. Everything he does, they have to immediately take the opposite position of, then they shop it around to any judge that they think is going to rule favorably for them, just like they did when they tried to get him off the Colorado ballot before the election. So this is a big strategy that the Democrats are now using to try to handcuff President Trump. Yes, it's going to continue to happen. But as the CEO of the country, he was literally voted in to make changes. Like, nobody gets mad at Disney if they say, we're going to drop this movie and move this money over. Like, that's the entire point of what a CEO is supposed to do. But anything Trump does, whether it's good or bad, he could cure cancer, they'll go for cancer. He could fart, they'll try to tax it somehow. I mean, seriously, he could do anything he does, they're going to do just the opposite. Bill Gates would immediately, I'm donating $1 million to stop the farts of Donald Trump. It's too much methane. It's too much winning. It's too much killing the environment. This is climate change at its absolute worst. That's the kind of crap that we would be seeing in the New York Times.
You know, I do feel like I got to push back on you a little bit when the CEO of Disney says, hey, we're not going to put as many black lesbians in the movies. The people revolt wholeheartedly. That's, that's a problem they have over there. There's an illegal immigrant. Yeah, guys, hold on to your seats. This is going to be shocking. But a new story's come up that there was an illegal immigrant, a Colombian woman living illegally in the United States, living under stolen identity for 2 decades, improperly received $400,000 of taxpayer money in various assistance. Aaron, she also voted in the 2024 presidential election. I'm told this is not happening. So this is clearly the first case of this we've ever seen, and more. There's no way that more will continue to come out as the Trump administration digs his heels in. But, how shocked are you?
Oh, I'm shocked. I'm in disbelief. I can't imagine how this. I think there are a few things here. First, I was trying to figure out what city she voted in. Right, that would be very interesting. What state this was happening in? We know this is happening across the country, but we're told first that it's not happening. Then, now that the story's coming out, and I'm to your point, I'm certain that hundreds or thousands more stories and more examples like this are going to come out, and we will transition into the. It's not happening to, it's a good thing that it's happening. That's what the left likes to do once we actually discover this. I would say, though, the most shocking part of the article when I was looking at this was that she also had a real ID. Do you know how hard it is to get for a citizen of the United States to get a real ID right now? I know there is a trend on social media about how difficult it is. I want to know how she got a real ID when actual citizens cannot.
Yeah, that's a good point. The real ID, no, that's the legit one. You can't screw around with that one. And again, we got to stop terrorism because that was put in place 25 years ago. Yeah, Stephen Gardner, what I think is interesting here is the extent to which this lady was stealing from the public and doing all this sort of stuff. My concern, and I'm wondering if you share a similar concern, is the people that aren't so out and proud and stealing almost $500,000 from the American taxpayer kind of still sliding under the radar there and voting in elections and getting, benefits that they shouldn't otherwise have. How many of these people do you think we're out there?
There's got to be hundreds of thousands of people. I mean, I thought this was Letitia James at first. that
It
hat,
might be.
Yeah, we got to make sure we have the right photo of people. But I want to be very cautious because it's racist to talk about IDs and elections in the same sentence. American citizens that can go to concerts and open bank accounts, to ask them to get an ID to vote, that would be really hard. But here's an illegal immigrant milking the American taxpayer for $400,000, and she manages to get an ID. Tells me maybe it's not that hard to get an ID after all. But I used to do financial planning before becoming big on YouTube, and the average American earns around $2 million in their lifetime and has nowhere near $400,000. So the fact that she was able to steal $400,000 from the American people, this lady is an exceptional con artist. We've also got to get her out of the country. This is just ridiculous.
My guess is the Democrats would be fleeing to that country to go visit this brave citizen who may possibly be Letitia James, because she was defrauding the Section 8 housing system. Letitia James is accused of defrauding the loan system in the houses. Who knows? We actually maybe that's the case. Before we go to the break, Aaron, the markets took a turn today again. At least the New York Times and the Wall Street Journal, former newspapers, are saying, because Trump said, hey, we might add some other tariffs. Why are people so enthusiastic about immediately jumping in and trade? Why is it so volatile when this happened like a couple weeks ago, and everything is fine? What's with the immediate panic?
I don't know if you actually know this about me, but I started my career as a trader on the trading floor at Goldman Sachs. So I have a lot of opinions on this. One thing I do want to start by saying is that I do not want a president making policy decisions off of day trading, which is exactly what we have with President Trump. He is making the right policy decisions that the American people need. We are also nowhere close to actually going into, so I even hesitate to say the words like austerity measures. We're not there, but we needed to grow up as a country, and we need to stop the partying and the spending. We had the Fed endlessly printing money. Things were in a very bad economic situation. The stock market had to adjust for the fact that it was artificially inflated for many years, that we had fake jobs numbers coming out. I could go on with the examples of why the stock market needs a correction. And I love that we have a president who's not worried about re-election, but is worried about setting us back on the right track. So yeah, we could take a hit for a day or a week or a month or a quarter, whatever it is. That is a necessary growing pain for us to get back on track.
Yeah, especially because the last administration, we were spending like we were Hunter Biden on a coke binge in Vegas. Stephen, yeah, but okay, that's what I'm trying to get. Why is it that traders are reacting so harshly so quickly when it's not like, 10 years ago we had this kind of tariff thing, and it was like a month ago. Everything is fine, and I don't know what's with the quick knee-jerk reactions to Trump saying, hey, we might actually try to better American people's lives going forward here.
It may actually be the big hedge funds. They'll see something, they'll make a panic of it, they'll artificially drop the market. Then the retail investor like you and I, we panic. We go, oh my gosh, my 401k, what's this president doing? And immediately we blame the president of the United States. And then they rush back in and they buy Apple and Google and Walmart at cheaper prices. So I'm actually glad you brought this up. I was busy filming all day. I need to go in and buy more of the stock market, because when the market goes down, as soon as it goes back up, everybody goes, oh gosh, I should have bought while it was down. But while it's down, people really do. They feel this emotional reaction to money, but the markets are always fickle this way. They bounce up and down on any piece of news. Everything's going to get ironed out. just like it did. Remember on Liberation Day, April 2nd, took a nosedive, and then it went higher than that. I mean, I'm up 20% on my Tesla stock. Thank you, Elon Musk.
Yeah, seems like it's all it is just going on discounts. Except for, hey, don't trade on President Trump saying, hey, it's a good time to buy, because that might be insider trading that he's sharing with the entire planet. Aaron,
hey, I don't want to cut you off, but I don't listen to Trump when it comes to the stock market. I listen to Nancy Pelosi.
Oh yeah, her husband does pretty well on in the markets there. Aaron, we've seen protests for just about anything. The penny is going away. Are we about to see the streets of New York City erupt in protests to keep around the penny? It now costs 4 pennies to make 1 penny, which I feel like is bad math, but what do I know? I'm just a lowly talk show host. What are your thoughts on the penny? Should we have gotten rid of it sooner? Will we miss it? What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, I'm getting a little nostalgic as we talk about it, but we could be nostalgic over, horse and buggy. It doesn't mean we're supposed to stay in that time. And the fact that it takes 4 pennies to make 1 penny now. I mean, there was that trend a while ago, if people would remember, on social media about girl math, and this to me feels like government bureaucracy math is like you spending 4 cents to make 1 penny. It makes absolutely no sense. It's such a waste. And also at this point, we're obviously moving more into digital currency, which I know is its own topic of conversation, and we have crypto now, but this is ridiculous. We do not need pennies. We could round the same way they retired the $2 bill. We should be retiring the penny, but just save a penny for the memories.
Yeah, I don't never use a penny. I mean, I love using cash. Believe me, I use cash as much as I possibly can. Of course, I'm making up a story that isn't real life because the IRS might be listening. But I love cash. I never use a penny. Here's my question though, Stephen. The Trump administration decides to eliminate the only brown penny. Is this a racist move by those evil Republicans / conservatives who want to save money?
Yeah, you would think Trump, orange-faced Trump, wouldn't get rid of an orange coin. Like that's got to be racist. That's got to be investigated. Actually, I think he should have removed Abraham Lincoln. He's already got the $5 bill. He should have made it Joe Biden and then discontinued the penny. Really get this guy out of here. Hey, penny for your thoughts. Oh, I'm Joe Biden. There's no thoughts in my head. Get this thing out of here. We got to get rid of the penny. I mean, honestly, like Aaron said, it's nostalgic. Find a penny, pick it up all day long. You'll have good luck. Save a penny here, save a penny there. Like, life inflation has gotten too out of control. Like, in the olden days, they used to say, young man, you look like $100, but now with inflation, you look like $1 million, right? Like, our language has changed. Our money has to change. So I think it's smart. Trump has got to get rid of this. I mean, he's got to either get rid of the penny or the F-35 jet that we've spent over $1 trillion on that doesn't work 35% of the time. It's time to make those hard decisions, Joe Bob.
Yeah, I think that would be great. He still has time to put Joe Biden's face on the penny. They don't stop making them or minting them until next year, but that would be hilarious. Put Joe Biden's face on it and then cancel it because there's nothing going on up there.